Welcome to a new video and a new trap. And the game started with e4, c5, Sicilian defense, d4, and now we're starting the Smith-Morra Gambit or the Morra Gambit. Accepted, and c3, d takes c3, accepted, knight c3, d6, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, and now knight f6. e6 is safer, e5, and now this is a tricky move. D takes e5, and this is the blunder from black side. Queen takes d8, and now knight takes d8. Of course, there is a variation for king takes d8, but I'm intending to make the video a little bit short. Knight to b5, and now threatening the fork, king and rook. So rook to b8, knight to e5, and now this is attack from white side, e6, and now knight to c7 with check. Of course, it's an opportunity to prevent the black king from right of castling. King to e7, bishop to e3, developing. Look to the white pieces, fast development and ready to attack. Knight to c6 now, trying to attack the knight on e5, castles queenside, and now knight to d7. Could be knight to e4. Knight take f7, excellent move and good calculation. Knight to f7, knight takes f7, king f7, and bishop take e6, check. King g6, bishop d7, bishop d7, and rook take d7. Rook c8, bishop to f4. In case of knight to d5, knight to e5, and rook to c7, and clearly better for white. In the game, bishop to f4, trying to defend with the bishop, knight to b8, rook to d2, and knight to a6. And now somehow the knight is pinned. Could be rook to c2 and take protecting the knight, but white played in another way. King to b1, rook to c7. In case of knight takes c7, rook to c2, and the knight is under attack, and also the rook is pinned. So sorry, the knight is pinned and under attack, and the rook is under attack also. Rook takes c7. Rook takes c7, bishop takes c7, knight take c7, and rook to d8, and now attack along the final rank, the 8th rank, and the bishop is pinned. So knight to e6, defending the bishop, and attacking the rook. Rook to b8, b6, rook to c1, h5, now rook to c8, and now rook to c8 and now attacking twice the bishop, king to f7, rook to b7, king f6, rook take a7, and now white start to gain some pawns, some material with the attack and pinning the bishop. Rook to h6 and now unpinning the bishop, rook to h6, rook to d7, bishop to c5, rook to d3, rook to g6, g3, king to e5, f4, and king to e4, rook to d1, h4, rook e1 check, king f5, rook f5, rook e5 check, king f6, rook to c6, and now pinning the knight, h take g3, rook c take e6 check, king to f7, rook g6, and now g take h2, thinking that he can promote. Rook takes g7, another pawn is falling and attacking the king. So king takes and rook to h5, and now this is the final try for black. Bishop to g1, f5, king f6, king c2, and now the king now march to escort two pawns, the a pawn and the b pawn. King to e5, b4, king f6, king d3, king e5, a4, and now it's obvious that white is winning. f6, king e6, and rook to h6, and enough is enough. Now black resigns and white won. So this is our video, and this is our trap, the e5 move. So try to be careful with your opening, and this is the Smith-Morra, very tricky, very resourceful with traps and tactics and so on. So thank you for watching, and see you next video and next trap. Bye.